The Atlanta Braves won 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox over the weekend, but it really should have been a sweep. Let's talk about it. Yes, welcome on in to Braves Today for Monday, May 19th, your source of news, notes, and updates on your Atlanta Braves. I'm your host, Lindsay Crosby. You can follow me on social media at Crosby Baseball. You can follow the show on X, Braves_today. We have a Facebook page and Instagram as well. And you can find all of my written work, bravestoday.com. That's the Braves Today Substack, as this is both a podcast and a newsletter. And I want to get to what we saw from the offense over the weekend. I want to get to the bullpen and the pitching staff in general and some of the changes we're about to see or that we need to see in the coming days. But let's talk about the weekend series to the Boston Red Sox. Atlanta goes on the road. They win a pitching duel on Friday night, Chris Sale versus Garrett Crochet. They win that one 4-2, thanks to the Red Sox walking a bunch of dudes in the ninth inning. Atlanta drops game 2, 7-6. And then wins the finale 10-4 pretty handily. And while we can be excited about how the weekend went overall, right? Again, you win 2 out of 3 games. You are now a game over 500. It's still frustrating about the way that the weekend went. Because a sweep was absolutely possible here. Your offense played really well. And you were in a position to win on Saturday and gave it away in the last couple innings. Boston scored the final 5 runs of the game to go from a 6-2 deficit to a 7-6 victor walk-off win, and they did all of that against the Braves bullpen, and it was entirely avoidable. So let's get into that bullpen and what happened, because Atlanta has this pretty rigid usage of their relievers at this point. Like, it's very clear that they have, I'm going to call them platoons, but think of them as like groupings of the relievers. And this isn't 100% rigid. They'll move this around. But for the most part, the way that this works is they have their 2 preferred back-end relievers. Raisel Iglesias is your closer. Daisabel Hernandez takes the 8th. They have 2 different groups of setup men. Dylan Lee and Pierce Johnson typically pitch together, right? Pierce Johnson doubles as your tertiary closer, right? Iglesias is your closer. Daisabel's the backup for him. Pierce Johnson's the backup for the 2 of them if they need a closer. And then you have your B squad setup men. Aaron Bummer, Enyel De Los Santos, and Rafael Montero. And then Scott Blewett is your long man, your extra innings man. They use Bummer some in long relief as well, but Blewett and Bummer are really your long men. Blewett handles extra innings. And then whoever else they have from AAA is their long man, extra innings, blowout, whatever, right? Dylan Dodd was the guy who they were going to use this weekend if they had to cover 3 innings in a blowout, right? But the issue is, 1, that group is not good enough. And 2, Atlanta's too rigid in their uses of these guys. So for instance, when you get Wednesday, we saw this on Wednesday, right? We saw the loss on Wednesday come down to the bullpen. Your Bummer, De Los Santos, Montero grouping didn't preserve the win, and you lost that game to Washington. We saw it again on Saturday. And again, it was the same group again. It was Bummer, De Los Santos, Montero, because they always pitch together. Whereas Dylan Lee, Pierce Johnson, they pitched on Thursday ahead of Raisel Iglesias. And then Daisabel and Iglesias pitched again on Friday behind Sale. And because Iglesias had been used on back-to-back days, they didn't want to use him on Saturday. I get that. Daisabel had thrown 23 pitches on Friday, so they wanted to try to avoid using him on Saturday. Okay. Dylan Lee threw 13 on Thursday. And unless he got hot and never went into the game on Friday, it's a little bit odd that he wasn't available on Saturday. And Snit said, we were trying to stay away from some guys. And he specifically, like Mark Bowman said, the three guys were Iglesias, Hernandez, and Lee. And again, unless Lee got hot on Friday and didn't go into the game, I don't know why they were trying to avoid going to Dylan Lee. By the way, he did come into the game on Sunday. He was warming up when it was still a save situation. By the time he got in, it was a big lead, and so he had a clean inning, and Scott Blewett took the ninth in like a 6-run game. But on Saturday, just like on Wednesday, the trio of Montero, Bummer, and De Los Santos could not hold the lead, and Atlanta lost the game. And the issue here, for me, is they are being too rigid in the usage. I know that every team is preparing for all of the likely scenarios that they're going to face. Part of being a professional hitter in Major League Baseball, in this stuff era, where everybody's throwing nasty stuff out of the pen, is being prepared and comfortable for what you're going to face. And I personally feel like it's a bit of a disservice if Atlanta telegraphs what they're going to do in the game as soon as you see the first reliever. Both Wednesday and Saturday, soon as you saw Aaron Bummer, you knew you were going to see Aniel De Los Santos. You knew you were going to see Rafael Montero. You did. You knew it was going to happen. And because of that, you're able to, hitters are able to be prepared to face those guys. And you can have more comfortable at-bats. And you couple that with the fact that Montero is one of the worst pitchers in baseball at allowing walks. He walks, and we'll get to that in just a second. Means that you make it harder on yourself than you have to be. I understand the concept of use your best relievers to lock down a game. Daysabel, Rafael Iglesias, you have a setup man, you have a closer. I get it. I'm not saying that's a problem. But I'm saying always pairing Dylan Lee and Pierce Johnson together, always pairing Bummer, De Los Santos, and Montero together is the obvious usage. And when you do that, you make it easier on opposing teams to come to the plate confident that they know what's going to happen. If you think about this, if it's the 6th inning and Aaron Bummer comes in, it's easy to project out and say, hey, I'm going to bat in the 8th. I'm probably going to face Rafael Montero. Let me go back in the cage. Let me turn on the pitching machine and do some work against splitters. It's easy to telegraph. That is telegraphed. That's going to happen. I don't know. My thought process here is the Braves need to be a little bit better about mixing and matching the relievers and being willing to use them in alternate orders. And again, I'd love to find out why Dylan Lee was down on Saturday. Did he get hot on? He had to have gotten hot on Friday. That's the only explanation, is he threw 13 pitches on Thursday, but then he got hot on Friday and wasn't used, so they were treating it as if he had pitched 2 straight days. I'm hoping that's what it is, because if not, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But Atlanta blows the game on Saturday, and then on Sunday, they get the win. And really, the big takeaway for me on Sunday's win, I talked about this in today's 3 Things on Sunday afternoon, is Spencer Schwellenbach. He had a rough 3rd inning. Ceddanne Rafaela, he threw a slider in the bottom of the zone. It caught the black. Ceddanne Rafaela went down and got it. Jarren Duran walked after a really bad call on a backdoor cutter. It went from 1 to 2-1. And then Devers ambushed the first strike for a grand slam. He had a ridiculous series, and I'm glad we're done facing him for a week now. We don't have to face him until this upcoming weekend when we face him again. It's again that schedule thing. But after that, Schwellenbach faced just 2 hitters over the minimum to complete his 7 innings. He had 2 consecutive 3-up, 3-down innings, and he was at 81 pitches after 7. He could have gone back for the 8th. Had Atlanta just gone batter by batter, had Atlanta wanted to avoid getting into the bullpen. But by then it was a 6-run lead. Go ahead and go to the pen. It's fine. You'd like to think they could do that, but he's not striking out as many guys. He only got, I think, 5 whiffs, but he had 19 called strikes, and he did a pretty decent job of just getting weak contact and getting through innings efficiently after the grand slam. So it wasn't a quality start, but it was one run away from being a quality start. And really his problems were 2 or 3 total pitches in that third inning was the difference between a 1-run outing and a 4-run outing. Okay, let's talk about the bullpen changes, because I think we're going to see some moves this week. We'll do that next, right here on Braves Today. At this point, the most obvious change to me is Rafael Montero needs to leave. Okay, so the Braves had Dylan Dodd up for the weekend. They didn't use him, right? They didn't get into a big enough lead or need a long man, really. So they didn't use him all weekend. That frustrates me, by the way. If you're going to call a guy up from AAA, like Sunday, 6-run lead, don't get Blewett up. Get Dodd up. Get the innings out of Dylan Dodd and then send him back. Save the rest of your pen, but whatever. Anyway. But the thing about Rafael Montero coming in on Saturday, I put this on social media when he was warming up in the 7th. We all knew what was going to happen. Like, we all knew that wasn't going to work out. Because the issue with Rafael Montero, there's a couple of them here. Okay. He's been a little bit unlucky on some of his conventional statistics. I'll give him that. Like actual ERA of 5.06, expected ERA of 3.89, etc. But he's not been helping himself. Okay. He's pitched 16 innings for Atlanta now. Rafael Montero's walk rate, 17.8%. It's first percentile in all of baseball. He's pitched 16 innings across 17 appearances. With the Braves, 12 innings, 13 strikeouts, 11 walks, 10 hits. He's allowed 7 runs. With Houston, another 4 innings. Like, for the season, he's walked 13 with 18 strikeouts in 16 innings. But with Atlanta, it's been 11 walks and 13 strikeouts in 12 innings. It's a 9.8 strikeouts per 9 and an 8.3 walk per 9. It's literally one of the worst walk rates in all of baseball. It's first percentile. And what's odd to me is the profile. He's very good at some things, and he's very bad at some things. Like, he's terrible at walk rate, right? Exit velocity, 12th percentile. His average exit velocity is 91.4 miles an hour. Now, his whiff rate is one of the best in baseball, 36.6%. That's 97th percentile. So we talk about 3 true outcomes with hitters sometimes, right? Strikeout, home run, or walk. Rafael Montero is either you swing and miss, you walk, or you rip a base hit. Like, you crush the ball. And he's been a little bit unlucky he's been a little bit lucky from the perspective of expected versus actual ERA. His actual ERA is 5.06 on the season. His expected is 3.89. His fielded independent pitching is 3.68. So he's given up some hard hits that fell when they shouldn't have fallen. Or I guess the randomness has worked against him a little bit. He's been a little bit better than the numbers suggest, but at the same time, it's an all or nothing profile. He either walks you strike out, or you put the ball in play really hard. To that point, hard hit rate, 45.2%, 24th percentile. Barrel rate, 7.1%. Slightly better than average, actually, at preventing barrels because he gets a decent number of ground balls. He's in like the 70-something percentile on ground ball rate, like 50%. Half of the batted balls against him are ground balls. But here's the thing. There's also been a lot of luck in there when it comes to his fastball. Okay? He's averaging right around 95 miles an hour on the fastball. And I dug into some of the stuff here. One, the performance on the fastball has been he has overperformed the expected, okay? He's actually allowing a 217 average and a 304 slug. The expected stats on the fastball, .275 average, and a .556 slug. Like, guys are crushing the fastball and have not yet gotten the results that you can expect from hitting the ball hard. That's eventually going to regress, and they're going to start getting more success on hitting the ball that hard. The other reason why the fastball is overperforming is because opposing hitters haven't really caught on to his usage patterns. Okay? So on the season, he throws the four-seam fastball less than half of the time. He is 48% four-seamer, 44% splitter, and then occasional sliders, occasional sinkers, right? On the first pitch, he's throwing a four-seam fastball to you over 60% of the time. Nobody has yet gotten a hit on that first pitch fastball. Not a single one. There's been a couple swings and misses, a couple of them fouled off, a lot of takes. And so, like, as much as Rafael Montero has struggled this season to keep runs off the board because of the walks, he's also been getting very lucky from his usage is one you can take advantage of. And when guys have made good contact on the fastball, they've not yet gotten the hits out of it. And I guess what I'm trying to say here is Rafael Montero, there is room to get worse with Rafael Montero. I don't know how much room there is for him to improve his walk rate. It's almost always been below average, right? Except for one season. 2021, he was like 60th percentile. Other than it's always been below average. It's never been this bad, though. And part of that is inherent with the splitter, right? Splitters are a little harder to know where they're going to go. One of the upsides for AJ Smith-Shawver is he doesn't always know where his splitter is going to go, which means opposing hitters don't know where it's going to go. But so here's the thing. Atlanta has seen some good luck and some bad luck out of Rafael Montero. But it is a lot easier for his performance to regress than it is to improve. And so I really think that some changes need to happen. They need to make a move and move on from Rafael Montero before it's too late. Okay? Craig Kimbrel has done a couple things in Gwinnett that he hasn't done in a while. He did a back-to-back. He pitched on Friday and Saturday. He pitched the 8th on Friday. Clean inning, 1 strikeout, faced 3 batters. He pitched on Saturday, 1 hit, no walks, 2 strikeouts. And so his numbers now with Gwinnett, where he's been since late April, it's a 1.86 ERA in 9 2/3 innings, a 1.76 batting average allowed, a 2.35 slugging allowed. I believe he's allowed 2 extra base hits, both in the same outing back in April. Like, other than that, it was 2 doubles and 2 runs scored in that inning. He hasn't walked anybody in the last four outings. And again, he's allowed 3 hits, all singles, 1 unearned run. And that was in a 10th inning there I think it was against Durham. And recently, his fastball's been sitting back at that 95 mile an hour level that we talked about he needed to get to. It feels like the best thing for Atlanta to do is to make a move and to get rid of Rafael Montero and bring Craig Kimbrel up. I don't want Craig Kimbrel being the backup closer, but if you're going to do Bummer, Enyel De Los Santos, Craig Kimbrel, I feel better about that than I do about Bummer, De Los Santos, Montero. That is a change the Braves need to make. And I think we saw last week when that grouping of 3 relievers lost you 2 different games in the week. Listen, in the week, you went 5-2. You could have gone 7-0 had you not had that same trio of relievers blow 2 games for you. And while Bummer wasn't perfect, he has had a lot of bad luck. De Los Santos has been okay. Montero, from a skill perspective, is definitely the weak link in that group. In just a second, though, I want to talk about the offense, because we saw some pretty good offense over the weekend, and I don't quite think we're discussing just how good it was. We'll break that down next, right here on Braves Today. Final segment of Braves Today, Lindsay Crosby. Let's revel in the offensive, not just competence, but excellence over the weekend, okay? Again, Braves go 2-1, should have been 3-0. More of the bullpen's fault than the offense's fault. I do think the offense could have added on a little bit on Saturday late, and they didn't. But for the weekend, Atlanta puts up 20 runs, so 6.7 runs a game, on 36 hits, so 12 hits a game. They hit 6 home runs, so they average 2 home runs a game. And they walk 17 times to 24 strikeouts. They also stole 2 bags, which was nice. But a lot of your lineup regulars got back to some hitting ways. Looking at the last 7 games for the Braves, you still have some issues here. Michael Harris is batting 192, right? Nick Allen's batting 227 or so. I will say Michael Harris walked twice on Sunday. He walked 4 times in the last week, but he walked twice on Sunday. It is only the 9th time in his career he has walked 2 times in one game. But outside of that, we're seeing a lot of really good offensive performances over the last week by the Braves. Eli White's batting 286. Marcell Ozuna's batting 292. The big thing for Ozuna, for me, we've talked before about his new approach in a vacuum is not necessarily better or worse, because he's getting on more, but he was hitting for less power. He hit 3 home runs and had a 708 slug for the week last week. So he is, while he did strike out looking with the bases loaded in the first inning on Sunday, drove me nuts, took a backdoor sinker. And quick note on that too, I had somebody on social media, when I put that out there, I had somebody on social media ask me, he said, is it the most likely result of a backdoor sinker going to be a ground into double play? And normally I would agree, yes. That was a good pitch to take in a vacuum. You can't take that when you're 0-2. You can't take anything that close when you're 0-2. But in the last 3 seasons, going into yesterday's game, Marcell Ozuna was batting 400 with a slug of 1,100. Against a lefty sinker on the outer third of the plate in the last 3 seasons. The current leader in run value versus any single pitch on the roster this season is Marcell Ozuna versus sinkers. So you can't take any pitch that close on 0-2. But even that pitch, you can do damage with it. Marcell Ozuna could have done damage with it. But anyway, he redeemed himself, got the home run later. Again, 3 home runs for the week. Matt Olson had 2 home runs for the week, batting 321. Austin Riley batting 310. Like, we've talked so much about the heart of your order has to be better. And in the last week, the heart of your order was better. Even Ozzy had 8 hits, batting 296. The heart of your order in the last week was much better. Stuart Fairchild, 6 at-bats. He had 2 hits. He also walked twice. Stole a base, scored 2 runs. Even your guys that are in risk of being DFA'd when Ronald's back, which I was hoping would be tomorrow. It looks like it's going to be at the best on Friday. I've been told that he did travel for the rehab to continue his rehab. He did not join the team in Atlanta. So unless they change their mind and decide to go ahead and pull him, he's going to be still on rehab on Tuesday when the minor leagues week kicks off. We saw a rebound from Alex Verdugo. He goes 8 for 23, albeit with 2 bad decisions in Sunday's game. He gets thrown out at the plate. That's more on a terrible send by Tui. Verdugo's not yet at the third base bag. He's on second base. And Verdugo's not yet at the third base bag when Jarren Duran gets the ball in left field on like a hard line drive. Tui sends him anyway. Verdugo is out by 20 feet. Verdugo doesn't even attempt to slide because they catch the ball he has multiple steps to decelerate before he gets to the plate, and then they tag him. Like, he's not even able to attempt to slide. And then he had a situation where he threw home trying to get a runner, a speedy runner in Ceddanne Rafaela, who had already rounded third when he got the ball in deep left field. The throw was way up the line, way late, and it allowed Rafi Devers to get to, I think it was Devers, to get to second base, where Alex Bregman then drove him in for another run. I think that was on Saturday. Like a couple bad decisions from Alex Verdugo over the weekend, although Tui gets a lot of the blame for that run, that thrown out at home there. But even he was hitting really well. 348, 8-23. But the biggest one to me, Drake Baldwin got into 5 games. He even had a start on a day game after a night game, which Atlanta rarely does that. Atlanta is one of the most aggressive teams about going to your backup catcher for a day game after a night game. But because they sent Drake Baldwin out there, he goes 10 for 18 on the week. 2 home runs and a double. He drove in 6. He scored 5 runs. And the biggest thing to me, no walks to 1 strikeout. I know he only had 18 at-bats compared to some of these other guys. Like Matt Olson had 28 at-bats in the same time span. But Matt Olson struck out 10 times. Drake Baldwin struck out once. Right? Austin Riley had 29 at-bats, struck out 6 times. Drake Baldwin struck out once. Marcell Ozuna had 24 at-bats, drew 6 walks, struck out 8 times, so he really had 30 plate appearances. Struck out 8 times in 24 at-bats. Drake Baldwin struck out once in 18 at-bats. They're going to play Drake Baldwin more. They're going to play him when he's hot. If he starts to cool off, you'll see more of a shift to Sean Murphy. I feel like his defense has gotten better. Something that I pointed out on one of the postcasts, maybe on Friday, maybe on Saturday with Jake over on Locked On Sports Atlanta, is Drake Baldwin has started tailing his throws to second base to the first base side of the bag. And it requires Nick Allen to come off the bag to field them. But it gets the ball there quicker. And Allen is often able to attempt a tag as the guy slides by. It's not like it's 20 feet up the line. But instead of throwing at the bag, his throws are tailing to the first base side of the bag. So Allen may take a step off the bag and the ball gets there quicker. It's a shorter distance. And he's able to get the tag down earlier. I feel like that's been something. It's happened enough now where I think it's a deliberate adjustment. Like, I think it's either they changed Baldwin's throwing mechanics or they specifically told him to aim for the first base side to try and mitigate the stolen base thing. And it's working. Flip side of that, I feel like Sean Murphy's throws, probably on accident, have been tailing towards the third base side, which means that Allen or Ozzy have to catch it, backhand it, and then swipe across their bodies to make a tag. It's been efficient. I really do think he needs to aim it more on the first base side and let it tail back to the bag, whereas Baldwin's are naturally arm side movement, so it's naturally running towards the first base side. Murphy's very much getting different spin on the ball, and it's tailing away from the runner, and they're having to backhand it and come back and make the tag. Little bit of just like catching nerdery that I happened to notice over the weekend and wanted to point out to you guys so you feel smarter when you notice it in the game. But I'm really excited about where this team could be. This feels like this was a series and really a week. You went 5-2, you could have gone 7-0. And the thing that caused you to not go 7-0 feels like it could be easily fixable, right? You option Dylan Dodd down to bring Spencer Strider back tomorrow. He starts on Tuesday. They have not officially made the roster move, but Alex Anthopoulos told the media that they were going to do that. Told the media in Boston they were going to do that. So there you go. But it feels like you make the move of Craig Kimbrel over Rafael Montero. And while you probably don't get as much swing and miss, you probably get significantly less walks. And that is a trade-off that ends up being good for the Braves. Oh, correction. As I'm recording this, it is 9:10 in the morning on Monday. The Braves just reinstated Spencer Strider from the injured list. So he's back. He's officially back now. They're not waiting till Tuesday. He is officially back from the IL and is the starter on Tuesday. They had announced a TBA, but no, it is Strider. Broke while I was recording. It is officially happening. Obviously, this is going to go up at noon Eastern, but there you go. Spencer Strider is back. Ronald is not. This has been a kind of random and not super efficiently flowing Braves Today for Monday, May 19th. Do me a favor. If you're listening on audio, 5-star review, Apple, Spotify, YouTube Music. Helps a ton. Really does. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when I drop the next episode. We're coming back to you tomorrow to preview this national series. The pitchers you saw, the pitcher you didn't, and Mackenzie Gore, as well as breaking down some of the other news. Until next time, this has been Braves Today.